came to be made?
Well, it's a documentary film that a buddy of mine, Jonathan Flora, directed. And Jonathan came to me a while back, and he had heard about some of the work that I had been doing in support of our troops and entertaining them with my band, Lt.Dan Band, clearly named after the character from Forrest Gump. But he had heard about all that, and he asked me if I would be interested in having him, come with a film crew and kind of shoot some of it. And I was, I had to think about it a little bit. I wasn't really, I didn't know what to make of that, but I thought about it, and he convinced me. He was convincing that it would be a good thing, and he would treat it respectfully. And so he ended up following me around for, at least an 18-month period, maybe even more, on and off to various bases that I visit around the country throughout the year, and various events that I support, like first responders in New York City, firefighters, and various other organizations that are out there working hard to support our defenders. And after a while, he had so much footage that he put this documentary together, and he calls it Lt.Dan Band for the Common Good. And through, kind of my little journey of taking people with me on these to visit the troops and see what I'm doing playing for them, you get to meet just so many excellent, wonderful, wonderful people that are serving our country out there, and so many people who have devoted their lives to serving them as they go through these long deployments and difficult and dangerous time that our country faces right now.
It is extraordinarily touching. As I have told people, I watched it with the Fetching Mrs. Hewitt, who had tears in her eyes throughout. I think nowhere more than with the Snowball Express concert, and perhaps in your conversation with Ginger Gilbert, the widow of Major Troy Gilbert, talking about how she and her 5 children have been well served by the Snowball Express and the other charities that are benefiting from the Lt.Dan Band. Talk a little bit about the Snowball Express and how these various groups that you support are benefiting from this movie.
Well, Snowball Express was started by a group of actually Vietnam veterans who just wanted to do something for the children of our fallen. So back in 2006, they got together and they brought some of these Gold Star kids together at Disneyland, and they treated them to a weekend of just fun and what we call new memories. And here you got a lot of kids around the country that have lost a mom or a dad in service to our country, and so by bringing these kids together, they get to meet other kids that are going through similar things. But and so they know they're not alone, and they know there are other kids that have a lot in common with, and but we give them a great time. I mean, it's just a lot of fun for the kids. They see that they're loved, they see that they're cared for, and it's what started off as a very modest grassroots effort down in Disneyland has now turned into a huge effort in Dallas, Fort Worth, where we do this event every year right before Christmas time, and I got involved with it very early on because I wanted to do something for the kids. And that particular concert that you see in the film was actually the first thing that Jonathan Flora documented. And I think when he came to see what I was doing there and to see the looks on the faces of the kids and to see how I was involved with them and to meet some of the Gold Star families that were attending that particular weekend, I think that solidified it for him, and he was on board from that point on. And now Snowball has been around for a while. We do this big event in Dallas every year. American Airlines has a wonderful program called Veterans Initiatives. American Airlines donates 8 planes from all around the country. The pilots volunteer, the flight crews volunteer. They try to get the gas donated, and these planes fly these families in from all over the country. And the families that they can't fly in on these planes, they donate tickets to these families, and we bring them into Dallas. Last year we had over 1,500, and we just give them a great time. And one of the things that we do is I play a concert for them, and it's now like Uncle Gary showing up,
Well, it was a wonderful bit of film, especially how you have to do the emotional up and down with the kids. They want to have a great time, but it's also obviously it's very touching to be there and be recognized this way. Very, very well made. Now, the movie is going to benefit them, the USO, Operation International Children, but only if people watch it online, right? That's where the share out comes.
Well, here's how it goes. Here's what we're doing here. And Jonathan and Deborah obviously had to get investors, to invest in the movie, and clearly they need to make some money back. But one of the things that they wanted to do is support the work that I've been doing, and one of the expanded efforts that I've undertaken is creating a foundation that is a troop first responder veteran family support organization. I can only go so many places and raise so much money and be so many places to do so many things. And I've gotten involved with so many wonderful organizations like Snowball Express, like the USO, like the Operation International Children, which was an organization I founded with Laura Hillenbrand back in 2004. There are so many organizations out there that I've gotten involved with and that I support now that I just, there's only so many fundraisers and so many donations I can make with the band and concerts I can play to support these groups. But they're doing such wonderful things for the families of our service members and for our deployed troops and for our wounded warriors and first responders out there that I just wanted to up the ante. So I created the Gary Sinise Foundation, and one out of every $4 from the viewing of this film online between July 4th and I think for 30 days, one out of every $4 will go to the Gary Sinise Foundation to help me continue this work in support of our troops and families.
And that's why the link is over at HughHewitt.com. It's www.LTDanBandMovie.com. But you'll find it everywhere. Watch this. Hey, you'll love seeing it. It's just a wonderful DVD, but it also will go to help all of these people, all these different groups. Before the first break here, I got to say, my hat is off to you, but it's also off to Moira, your wife, and Ella, and Mac, and Sophie, your children, because all this time that you're out on the road, I know it's an enormous sacrifice on you, but it's also quite a sacrifice for them.
Well, thank you. They have been. They could not be more supportive of what I'm doing. My wife has veterans in her family, Vietnam veterans. She remembers what it was like for her when she was a young sister of two Vietnam veterans and worrying about those deployed service members overseas, and so she knows what these families are going through. And so, she kind of sees herself as somebody, if they can endure these long deployments of their loved ones over to a war zone, then she can endure a couple of weekends here and there for me. I mean, I'm gone a lot and everything like that, but she couldn't be more supportive of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was surprised at how many are your connections to the military. Your grandfather was an ambulance driver in World War I, your dad in the Navy, your uncle a navigator, and then all of Moira's family. It seemed like there were a half dozen veterans in the immediate Sinise family circle.
Surrounded, yes. And I didn't serve, I remember when I was a kid. I was a kid during Vietnam, and I didn't really know what was going on, Hugh. I wasn't really paying attention. And after meeting her brothers, my wife's two Vietnam veteran brothers, and meeting other Vietnam veterans, and actually getting involved in the Chicago area with Vietnam veterans groups, I just became keenly aware of how badly they were treated. And when it came time to deploy our troops to Afghanistan and Iraq, I just wondered, what can somebody like me do to help? I was grieving after September 11th, like so many people, but I wanted to turn that into action in some way. And I've been, from that tragedy, I've met and been involved with and supported just some of the most extraordinary people. I'm humbled by the kinds of people that I get to meet doing this work.
We come back from break. We're going to talk about the people in the Lt.Dan band who, along with Gary Sinise, have gone to the far corners of the world, as well as our backyard, as well as the 9/11 responders, and a variety of stories which are all told elegantly in the new movie, Lt.Dan Band for the Common Good. It debuts next week. The website is linked at HughHewitt.com. Go and bookmark it for July 4th and beyond. I'll be right back with Gary Sinise on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Up to the minute traffic from the